Hello again guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're back in DCS. This time we're trying out the VNAO T-45 Goshawk mod. For those who aren't aware, the T-45 from VNAO just released recently. It's a mod for DCS rather than an official add-on, but it's completely freeware and I have to say it's completely excellent. So in today's video we're going to take a quick flight from Nellis Air Force Base over to Creech Air Force Base. The aim of the video is really just to showcase the mod and show you just what an excellent job VNAO have done. However, as usual, we'll run through a full startup of the aircraft using the real world checklist. So if you are just getting into the mod, then the video should act as quite a nice little tutorial as well. As always guys, I do hope you enjoyed the video and find it to be of use. If you do, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. If you have any comments or questions for me, you can leave those down in the comments section below. But now we'll jump into the cockpit of the VNAO T-45 Goshawk and get the aircraft started up. So welcome to the cockpit of the VNAO T-45 Goshawk. As you can probably hear, our wingman just starting off on our right there. It's going to get pretty loud in a moment, so we'll just start with the checklist and we'll talk more once we've got the cockpit closed up. Starting with the inspection checklist then, the fuel shutoff is down and in the locked position. Ignition switch is in the normal position. Display power is set to the normal position. Fuel control is in the normal position. Engine switch can come to the on position. Control augmentation is set to SPI. Standby stab trim is guarded. Throttle is off. Anti-skid can come on. Emergency flaps are in the normal position. Launch bar is retracted. Emergency gear handle is in. Landing gear lever is down. Master arm is in the safe position. ADR is off. Flight instruments are checked. For the altimeter we're looking for an aerodrome elevation of 1856 and we have that set. HUD and MFDs are off. Cabin pressure is checked. Radios are off. Pitot heat is off. Hook bypass is set to field. Hook handle is up. Nav radios are off. Batteries are off. Generator can go on. External lights, we'll leave the nav lights on steady for now and the anti-collision light will take to anti-collision. External step has been retracted. So we are ready for the start. Looks like there's a pair of F-16s just departing out there for runway 03. For the start checklist then, the batteries can come on. Seat has been adjusted. Fuel quantity, we have just below 3,000 pounds of fuel on board at the moment, that's checked. Advisories, we have the hydraulic fail, hydraulics, canopy, nose wheel steering wheel augmentation, which you would expect to see, and we're showing the anti-skid on. Fire warning lights are checked. Hydraulic 1 and 2 pressure, which we're showing 0 PSI. Brakes, we should be showing a minimum of 1250 there on the PSI, but that's currently showing 0. I suspect that's just a slight peculiarity of the mod. Flaps, we're showing half flaps on the indicator, so we'll move the flap lever to the half position. Landing gear lever is down, and the canopy we'll leave open for the start, just so you can hear the sounds of the engine startup. So for the start, we'll start the gas turbine starter. We'll wait for that to spool up. And a pair of F5Es as well, just departing out for runway 03. So the gas turbine starter has spooled up. We'll engage the engine start switch. Looking for 17% and then we'll move the throttle to the idle position. There's our 17%. So moving the throttle out of its stop, waiting for the engine to spool up and holding the aircraft on the brakes. There's the gas turbine starter spooling down. And the engine is stable. Parameters look good. We should turn on the OBOG system at this point, but that is one of the few things in the cockpit that's currently inoperative. HUD can come on. MFDs can come on as well. We'll take the ADI on the left and the HSI on the right. Radios will turn on. IFF will leave off. Throttle will come up to 70%. There's our 70%. We'll do a hydraulics reset. That clears the advisories, and we now have 3000 psi showing on both hydraulic systems. Trims are checked. Instruments are checked. Low altitude warning we'll leave at 500 feet, and same for the bingo fuel, we'll leave that at 900 pounds. Flight controls. Are full free and in the correct sense. We'll close up the canopy now. Flaps are set to half. Speed brake, make sure that's retracted. And the pitot heat can come on. Currently there's no air traffic menu available in the aircraft. I presume that's a function of it being an unofficial module. So we'll just make our own way out for runway 03, feet off the brakes. Coming up slightly on the power just to get the aircraft moving. Hopefully our wingman shouldn't be too far behind us. I'm going to engage the nose wheel steering just for the turn. All clear on the left. And coming back off the power again. Gently on the brakes just to slow the aircraft down again for the turn. And we'll now continue all the way down to the holding point for runway 03 left. We'll take an intersection departure this morning, as there's plenty of runway available to us here at Nellis. Otherwise as well the video length, the taxi length is going to be quite long for you guys. Overall I have to say the aircraft is a little bit twitchy on the taxi, even with the nose wheel steering disengaged. The aircraft is very sensitive on the rudder pedals. I've also put in a bit of a curve there. I think I put a curve of about 30 onto the rudder just to try and make the aircraft a little bit easier to control on the taxi. Once we're in the air though, it's a really nice aircraft to fly. And certainly feels much more how I would expect the Goshawk to have handled. As we discussed in my T-45 video in Microsoft Flight Simulator, I thought the aircraft there felt a little bit heavy on the controls, and certainly compared to that, this aircraft feels a lot more responsive. A little bit of an unusual camber here on the taxiway. Taxiway straightening out again now. Coming back off the power, we'll slow ourselves down for the Bravo intersection. So again, gently on the brakes, getting the aircraft slowed down. We'll engage the nose wheel steering once again. Now we'll just hold short, runway 03 left. We'll continue with our checks. Looks like the first of the F-16s is just about to depart. And off he goes. So we'll bring ourselves to a stop. Again, holding the aircraft on the brakes. So the before takeoff checklist controls, we should move that to the all position for the control augmentation, but again, as you can see, that's currently inoperative. Anti-skid is on. Flaps are set to half. Elevator trim will set to 3 units nose up. And the trim is set. There goes the second of the F-16s. Canopy is closed, locked, and showing indicators as locked. Harness is secure, ejection seat is armed, fuel control is in the normal position, strobe lights can come on, navigation lights will turn to flash as well, landing lights can come on, pitot heat is on, warnings and cautions are extinguished, and the launch bar will leave in the retracted position. So all ready for the takeoff. We'll just finally set up the aircraft for the departure. So for the departure we need the Lima Sierra Victor TACAM, which is channel 12. We'll turn that on now. That's channel 12 set. Go TACAN on the HSI. Initially we want to depart runway heading below 3,000 feet, maintaining within 4 miles and turning around the racetrack. We'll come onto a heading of 270, then climbing up to an altitude of not above 8,000 feet. We'll track low level though all the way out towards Creech this morning. We'll just use the TACAN as a reference. The last of the F5's just departing now. Anyway, feet off the brakes, we'll get ourselves lined up, runway 03 left. It's all clear on final. Gently bring the aircraft to stop, disengage the nose wheel steering, run the engine up to around 70% RPM, wait for that to stabilise. So stable, feet off the brakes, all the way up to full power. And again, the aircraft quite sensitive on the rudder, but we'll try our best to keep it on the runway centreline. 110 knots, we'll just start coming back on the stick. And we're up. Gig can come up. So as we said, aiming to maintain below 3,000 feet for the departure. We'll get the flaps up as well. Just let the speed build a little bit more and then we'll come back on the power. Okay, we'll come back to around 90%. And getting the aircraft trimmed off around 2,500 feet for now. Just coming off on 2 miles, we'll turn around the racetrack. And looking for a heading of 270 as we discussed. We could now climb up to 8,000 feet as we said, but we'll maintain low level for the flight this morning, just for a little bit of fun. Just coming up to our heading of 270, so we'll track outbound. We should maintain 270 out towards 15 DME and then fly the arc around to join up on the 267 radial there. But as I say, we'll just track outbound heading 270. And not long thereafter we'll be at Creech Air Force Base anyway. Just come slightly right again, back onto the heading of 270. Doesn't really matter too much, we're obviously not flying the full departure anyway. And Creech should be somewhere just out to the northwest. We're getting a little bit of altitude now just to help us spot the airfield. And we'll come straight in for an approach into Creech. Won't bother doing the overhead brake. Follow the contours of the hills out to the north. That'll take us all the way around to the Air Force Base itself. Can't quite see it now, but of course Las Vegas just off behind us. And we'll level off here around 7,000 feet. You can already see Creech off at our 10 o'clock. So we'll start tracking inbound. But overall, as I say, I really enjoy flying the T-45 from VNAO. I can't recommend the aircraft highly enough. Obviously it's freeware, so well worth trying for yourself and picking it up. is a little bit tricky to get installed if you're not used to the process, but overall not too difficult as long as you do follow the instructions carefully. And again, well worth the effort. The aircraft is really, really nice. A little bit limited in what you can do in terms of weapons, of course. There's no live munitions on the aircraft, it's just training weapons, but certainly an excellent option for a little bit of carrier training, which is fully my intention with the aircraft. I'm just about to pick up the DCS supercarrier mod, and I think we'll use the T-45 to run through a little bit of carrier training. As I mentioned in my previous T-45 video, I'm not all that familiar with carrier operations, so quite a lot to learn there, and should be really good fun. I think we'll be able to have a pretty good stab at it. So as you can see, we've just come around onto final for the runway at Creech. Just come back on the power, letting the speed slowly bleed back. Just coming through 200 knots to take the gear down, and we'll take half flap. And as I understand it, I just need to keep the flight path vector at the touchdown zone, and ultimately within inside of the E bracket there on the left. So we're still a little bit fast here at the moment, but we've got plenty of time to correct that. Take flaps full. And continuing to trim the aircraft, speed slowly coming back. For the landing checklist, the gear is down, we have 3 greens, flaps are full, hook is retracted. Just coming on to speed now, so coming up again on the power. Harness is secure, speed brakes are retracted, and the anti-skid is on. So aircraft just getting a little bit slow at the moment, coming up on the power again. And of course trying to keep the AOA on target, which is effectively what we're doing by flying inside of the bracket. So there's a little bit of buffeting from the aircraft as we get towards the lower end of the speed scale there. So far looking good on the approach. And just starting to round out the aircraft now, coming back off the power, flaring the aircraft. There's touchdown, ever so slightly short of the touchdown zone there, and slowly coming onto the brakes to get the aircraft slowed down. Try and vacate on the next left, so just applying a bit more pressure on the brake pedals now to really get the aircraft slowed down for the turn. Aircraft nice and slow, we'll engage the nose wheel steering and bring the aircraft off, as I say, to the left onto the main taxiway. Again, coming onto the brakes, we'll turn left onto taxiway Bravo. Get the aircraft nice and slow for the turn, as it's quite a sharp one here. Clear on the right. Now we'll just taxi back along Bravo towards the main apron, and then we'll get the aircraft shut down. And get the flaps up. Coming back off the power. So overall, not too bad of a landing for my first attempt in the VNAO T-45, I think. It does take a little bit of getting used to flying that speed bracket, but overall we did manage it. I'll bring the aircraft to a stop just to beam this ground air cart. And as I say, we'll get the aircraft shut down. So we are stationary, holding the aircraft on the brakes. The shutdown checklist, the right MFD can come off, as can the HUD. Radios are off. OBOGs, again we should turn that off, but as I mentioned earlier, that's one of the few things on the aircraft that's not currently modelled. We are at idle RPM, brakes are on, throttle will move to the off position. Engine spooling down nicely, we'll get the canopy opened up. And we have a good shutdown on the engine. The left MFD can come off as well. Engine switch can go off. Fuel shut off, we should pull, but again that's currently inoperative in the aircraft. And lastly we'll just turn off battery 1 and battery 2. And that is the shutdown checklist complete. So there you go guys, I do hope you enjoyed our very quick trip out in the VNAO T-45 Goshawk. Once again, the aircraft is absolutely excellent, it's completely free, so I highly recommend going and checking it out for yourselves. Although the T-45 is somewhat limited in terms of its combat utility, I think there's still a lot of potential there to have some really good fun. As I mentioned, it is a great little option for practicing some carrier landings. And I believe I'm correct in saying that the aircraft does support a shared cockpit, so needless to say that could be a lot of fun with friends as well. Anyway, if you do fancy trying out the VNAO T-45 Goshawk for yourself, I'll leave a link down to the mod in the video description below. Once again, I really enjoyed my time out in DCS and I hope that you did as well. If you did, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel. If you have any comments or questions for me, please leave those down in the comments section below and I'll always do my best to answer them. But for now, thanks very much and I'll see you all again soon.